Ben Rathbun died Monday morning at his home in Greencastle, Indiana. He was just 55 years old. His passing was confirmed by his family, who shared that he was surrounded by loved ones in his final moments. The cause of death was stage 4 stomach cancer, a diagnosis that came late last year and one he had fought with immense strength, dignity, and quiet courage. It's a cruel irony that a man who had spent his later years chasing love, connection, and understanding on the world stage of reality TV would find his life cut short just as many believed he had finally found peace and stability. For those unfamiliar with Ben's journey, it began like many of the cast members on 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days, with an internet romance that many found hard to believe. A 52-year-old father of 4 from Michigan at the time, Ben introduced himself to the world as a deeply spiritual man who had worked as a youth pastor and modeled a quiet, wholesome lifestyle rooted in faith. But viewers were quickly struck by the striking age gap between Ben and the woman he was pursuing. 22-year-old Mahogany Roca, a mysterious and beautiful young woman from Peru. Their online conversations had gone on for months, but their relationship raised red flags with nearly everyone watching. Was she real? Was this another case of an older American man being catfished by a younger foreign woman with unclear motives? That was the dominant narrative before they ever met in person. What made Ben's story stand out was not just the age gap or the controversy, but the sincerity with which he pursued the relationship. While skeptics dismissed his feelings as naive or even delusional, Ben remained steadfast. He believed in the connection they shared. He believed in the good in people. And most of all, he believed that love, real, transcendent love, was possible, no matter the distance, the doubts, or the odds stacked against it. And when the cameras finally followed him to South America to meet Mahogany in person, the world watched with bated breath. To everyone's shock, Mahogany was real. She wasn't a catfish. She was exactly who she claimed to be, at least in physical form. But emotionally, things were far more complex. Their in-person meeting was awkward, filled with hesitation and uncertainty. Mahogany seemed distant, guarded. Ben, on the other hand, was all in. It was as if he had poured every ounce of his hope into the idea that this relationship would be his redemption after a life filled with personal struggles, spiritual searching, and emotional setbacks. Their storyline was marked by tension, miscommunication, and cultural clashes. But there was something compelling about the way Ben refused to give up. He was mocked by some, pitied by others, but in the end, he remained committed to following his heart. Against the advice of friends, fans, and even his own children, he continued to pursue Mahogany with the kind of romantic idealism rarely seen in the often cynical world of reality TV. After the cameras stopped rolling, many assumed that the relationship had fizzled out, but reports began surfacing that Ben and Mahogany had actually continued their relationship off-camera. Whispers of a wedding, of them moving in together, and even more personal, intimate moments began circulating in online forums and fan communities. While neither Ben nor Mahogany made any grand public announcements about their relationship status, it appeared they had indeed married, or at the very least, remained together in a committed partnership. In the months leading up to his death, sources close to Ben confirmed that Mahogany was still by his side. She had reportedly stayed with him through the diagnosis, the treatments, and the final painful stages of his illness. Though their love had been doubted by many, it endured, in a way few expected. To those who had dismissed Mahogany as a scammer or opportunist, her devotion to Ben in his darkest hour served as a powerful reminder. Sometimes love doesn't make sense to the outside world. Sometimes it defies logic, age, and even geography. But that doesn't make it any less real. Ben's passing hit his family hard. A father of 4, he had always been deeply involved in his children's lives, even as his romantic pursuits often took center stage in the public eye, behind the headlines. And the memes, Ben was a dad. He was someone's son, someone's brother, someone's friend. Those who knew him away from the cameras spoke of a man who was thoughtful, deeply introspective, and always willing to lend a hand. He had a passion for fitness, faith, and community service. In earlier years, he worked as a pastor and spent time mentoring youth, hoping to inspire others to live with purpose and love without reservation. His journey was not without controversy. He had made mistakes, as we all do. Some fans were critical of the power dynamics in his relationship with Mahogany. Others pointed to moments on the show where he came across as self-righteous or blind to red flags. But to reduce Ben's life, Too a few dramatic scenes or questionable decisions would be to miss the larger picture. He was a man in search of meaning, someone who had been broken and rebuilt, who had loved, lost, and loved again, and who dared to chase happiness even when the world told him it was too late. Ben's battle with stomach cancer was a private one. Unlike many reality stars who live their lives online, even in times of hardship, Ben kept his diagnosis largely out of the spotlight. Those closest to him say he didn't want pity. He didn't want to be remembered for his illness. Instead, he spent his final months focusing on the things that mattered most: family, love, and the legacy he would leave behind. It was in these final months that his relationship with Mahogany reportedly deepened. As the disease progressed and the pain intensified, she became his primary caregiver, offering not only emotional support, but physical assistance in his day-to-day struggles. Their love story, once doubted and criticized, now took on a new dimension, one of resilience, compassion, and loyalty. Whatever their past, whatever their challenges, Mahogany remained, and in doing so, she honored a man who had always believed in her, even when the world didn't. Fans of 90 Day Fiance responded to the news of Ben's death with a mix of shock and sadness. Social media was flooded with tributes, some from longtime followers and others from those who had only recently come to appreciate the depth of his story. Messages poured in from around the world, people who had connected with Ben's vulnerability, his faith, or simply his willingness to put it all on the line for love. Rest in peace, Ben. You were misunderstood, but your heart was always in the right place. One fan wrote on Twitter. Another added, I used to roll my eyes at his scenes with Mahogany, but now I realize he was just a man who wanted to be loved. This hurts more than I expected. Indeed, it's easy to dismiss reality TV personalities as characters on a screen, but behind every edited scene, every confessional interview, is a real person with real hopes, dreams, and fears. Ben Rathbun was not perfect. He was flawed, sometimes awkward, often idealistic, but he was also brave. It takes courage to love in the open. It takes even more to do so under the scrutiny of millions. As the news of his death continues to circulate, questions remain about what comes next for Mahogany, for his children, and for the fans who followed his journey so closely. Will she remain in the United States? Was she ever truly accepted by his family? Will more details about their relationship come to light now that he is gone? Those answers may come in time, or they may not. But what's certain is that Ben's story has left a mark. It's a story of longing, of redemption, and of unexpected devotion. It's a reminder that love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's confusing. But in the end, if it gives us comfort, companionship, and someone to hold our hand as we face the unknown, that's what really matters. Ben Rathbun's journey, from online romance to public scrutiny to private battle, was one marked by hope and heartbreak. He searched for love across continents, battled skepticism and stigma, and ultimately found someone who stood by him when it counted most. He leaves behind 4 children, a complicated but passionate legacy, and countless fans who will remember him not for the drama, but for the depth. He was 55. Rest in peace, Ben.